Authors Over 50, Writing in Life's Sweetest Third. Authors Over 50's weekly podcast celebrates writers and their journeys to publication. Writing after 50 is a whole story on its own, so let's skip to life's sweetest third and talk with authors about their journey from pen to publish. Welcome. I'm Julia Daly, your host, and I invite you to listen to interviews with writers who've achieved their goal of publishing a book just later in life. We've seen award lists for under 30 or under 40, but I've yet to see lists for those who've achieved a significant milestone of their own, launching a new career and publishing their first book after the age of 50. We will hear about these authors' inspirations, struggles, strategies, and the smell of that first book. These writers' journeys inspire me because I'm one of them. My guest today always wanted to be a librarian, but when she lost her eyesight, she did the next best thing and became a sweet, contemporary Western romance author. And novels aren't the only thing she writes. She has 2 award-winning short stories and has been known to pen a few lines of poetry. But when she does get a free moment, she's off to the local coffee shop's library, writing workshops, book festivals, spinning vinyl with her hubby, or hanging with her Eagle Scout, their kitten, and her retired guide dog. Welcome to Authors Over 50, Chrissy Hartmann.
Hi, thanks. It's great to be here.
I'm glad to have you. Our opening question on Authors Over 50 is always, what took you so long to write your first book?
I've always kind of worked around writing, but never seriously got interested in it until I lost my eyesight. And I was 27 at the time. And just over the years, my brother kept teasing me because I would complain to him about story endings and kept telling me, well, you write it, and I finally got the gumption up to do it when I was about 47, and took me a number of years to learn the trade of it and all the techniques and stuff. So I finally got one out, I think when I was 51. Yeah, 51. So that's about how long it took me. So
well, Chrissy, having had issues after cataract surgery, I've been thinking about eyesight for a couple of months now. Can you share how you lost yours and what challenges you've faced since being an author?
Well, I lost mine due to retina detachment. They were both detached about the same time, and unfortunately, I did not have a very good surgeon to repair it, and they did too many surgeries on them at too quick of a time. And it's the scar tissue that basically destroyed the retinas then. Let me just say, it's a great time to be, not to be blind, but it's a great time if you are blind because of all the technology they have out there. I've gone from carrying a whole bunch of different devices down to just carrying my iPhone around that has like my money identifier on it, color identifier on it, has my banking info, it has just anything you could possibly want on it to help a blind person out. I have books on digital books on my phone that I can read. The internet, my phone talks to me, so I don't go anywhere without it.
Well, most of us don't go anywhere without it, but for you, it's really important that you keep it with you. And I'm just so fascinated by that. I listen to audiobooks. That's how I read now. And I would rather listen than read, but I'm just thinking that writing could bring different challenges. Do you record everything, and does somebody have to type it out for you, or?
I actually have a screen reader program on my computer that talks to me. So whatever I type, it talks back to me and tells me, what I've written and stuff. I used to do medical transcription editing. So I did that for 20 years. I just retired last November from doing that. And I'm doing the writing full time now. And it's I when I lost my eyesight, the a program called JAWS had been out for a couple of years, and it's grown over the years, and it's a fantastic program for a blind person to use the computer. It stands for Job Access with Speech, so it allows a blind person to get on the computer and do stuff on it. So it's been great. The only challenges I have right now with writing for my books is sometimes formatting. So formatting the book, it does help me with that, but sometimes I just don't see like the spacing between lines and stuff. It doesn't really tell me that. So I have a friend who made a template for me. So if I just plug my words into that template, everything lines up correctly and stuff. So I have a few workarounds, some stuff, but otherwise I have to um, get an editor to look at it for me and set it all up correctly.
Well, it is the right time to be alive with all this technology that we have, and now AI, I'm
Mhm.
sure, is going to make that even run more smoothly for you.
Yeah, yeah. When I worked at the library, I mostly worked in the audiovisual department, but on the weekends ran one of the branch libraries, and we did a lot of research for people looking books up and stuff. And I use AI once in a while to help find books or just information that I need, for my story and stuff. And it's a lot faster. It's not always accurate, so you got to double check that and everything. But it's gotten a lot better. It's definitely gotten a lot better and everything. I'm waiting for it so that I could plug in my story and that it'll format it for me correctly.
I bet
So
that's not too far away.
yeah, but so far it doesn't work great. So I'm stuck with hiring somebody. But I can't wait till it I like the idea of it doing some graphics for you. But then again, I also have a son who's a graphic artist who can help me with that too. So I've lucked out on that in that
That's
way.
very convenient.
Yeah, it is when he wants to do it. He's not always in the mood to do it. So, but he does a really good job. He's done a couple book covers for me. So
I love an in-house department there.
yeah, yeah, it's convenient. It's convenient. So, and my husband, he's my chauffeur. So he's my chauffeur. And right now I'm working on a cookbook. So he's my taste tester too. So,
Oh, I bet he loves that.
oh yeah, he does. Not helping his diet, but he does help out with that too. So yeah.
Did writing your first book change your process of writing?
Um, yeah, actually, my book Rescuing Whiskey's Salvation, which everyone thinks is my first book, it's my first published book, but my actual first book I wrote, Tags. Um, uh, it pretty much stayed the same until I wrote the sequel to that book, and everything changed. My whole style changed after I wrote the sequel. And so, Rescuing Whiskey Salvation Cherishing is a product of the second book, Hearts. And it's so, yeah, it definitely did change. And I like this style better and everything. But um, yeah, I mean, I definitely say it changed and everything. Because before, when I first started writing, it was basically short stories. I wrote short stories, and then I just slowly got to writing them longer and longer and longer, And then I was like, well, let's just make this into a novel. So, but I still write short stories. So,
Well, you've become quite prolific, and it sounds like you're on the right path and have the right formula, because a lot of times we're told that if you're not writing a series or have at least three, that you're not really earning out.
yeah, I would agree with that. my problem right now is I've got too many irons in the fire, because I do have a cookbook I'm working on. I'm almost finished with that. I've got the anthology I'm editing of short stories I'm editing, and then I have a third book to my series that about close to halfway being done written. So if I can get these other two books done, I can finish. I'm hoping to finish the third story this year, but we'll see. So it doesn't always, because I thought I'd have the two books uh, done at the beginning of the year, and it just hasn't turned out that way and everything. So yeah, it's I definitely have um, a number of things, options to go and get out there and everything. It just some I wouldn't say I have attention deficit disorder, but sometimes I think I do because I just can't keep my hands on one thing. And not that I get bored, but I just get sidetracked and everything. So I have to really sit down and make myself do it, work on one thing to get to a point and then get it done, because it's just, I get all these ideas floating in my head and I'm like, oh no, we got to do that. No, that's for the short story. No, we got this time's for this, and so it can be hectic at times.
Where do you think these inspirations come from that you have more ideas than you have time to write? Because I hear some writers say they had a very vivid dream, or some have a daydream, or see somebody on the street and they're inspired. Where does yours come from?
A lot of mine just come from stories I've heard around that people have either told me or uh, just little incidents that have happened and stuff. Like one of my short stories, we were writing to Berlin, or yeah, Berlin, Ohio, where it's a big Amish community and they have a bunch of shops and stuff there. And my husband was telling me about um, some chipmunks and stuff running across the road in front of us, and so I kind of wrote this funny little short story about chipmunks. And you wouldn't know it was about chipmunks at first, but at the end you'll find, you get a good sense of what it is and everything. But other stories, there's been some things like rescuing the homeless shelter situation. That there was a situation in our town where they had a homeless shelter in what they called tent city. So there was a homeless problem we had. So I and a good friend of mine, she worked at a homeless shelter. So she was telling me about all the different things that would go on there. So just one thing after another, and it just popped into my head, and it's, let's try this. So I really liked it, and we went with there from it, and then the second book, it's actually a novella, and it's made up of the chapters I took out from the original book, and because I didn't want to lose that character. And I thought, well, let's make it his own character in this book. So I did that, and turned out pretty good, I thought. So not as long as the novel, but I don't think it needed to be that as long. So it was a lot of fun writing it too. So because it was from a guy's point of view, and I got the input in from my dad, my husband, my son, my two brothers, and a whole slew of guy friends of mine that put their 2 cents worth in how to handle things. So it was definitely a lot of fun. I would probably do it again.
What about your writing routine? Do you have a specific one? Are you a morning person or a night person?
My husband would probably say I'm a night person because I will spend the whole night up writing. I do editing also for authors, and I try to help them out during the day, and then I'll spend a lot of time at night writing my own stuff and everything, because it almost doesn't seem like I have the juices flowing for my own stuff until after dinner, and I'll start working on it then and everything, and it just I it just keep going with it. And sometimes my husband will have to come down and remind me at 4 o'clock in the morning, aren't you coming to bed? So I'd definitely say probably a night person.
I always wonder about editors. Are you able to edit your own work or do you need somebody else to look at it? Because after I've looked at my own work for so long, I miss a lot that somebody else has to catch.
Um, yeah, I definitely do use other people to help me out. I have a great writing group that they are really good at what they do with helping with editing and stuff. Um, they've been a real big help and everything. My mom was an English teacher. Um, she's helped. We used to joke with her, or I used to joke about it because when I went to college, I'd write home and she would write me back. Well, she wouldn't really write me back. She would send my letters back with red pen corrections all over them. So I nicknamed her Red Pen. And so she helps me out now and she loves it. And but yeah, for the most part, I wouldn't just trust myself to uh, do the editing and everything. I'll do the first like 5 rounds of editing myself, and then when I think it's good enough to hand off to somebody, I'll hand it off and let them tear it apart for me and tell me what's wrong and where I need to fix it. And for the most part, it hasn't been too bad. Few corrections I need or something I've missed, and then my software sometimes because of my I used to do the medical transcription. I had certain words in with shortcut keys on my computer, and I would accidentally hit those, and it would put that word in instead of what I actually wanted. And it's good to catch that because sometimes you don't always catch it because you think what it should say, but it doesn't say that. So a lot of times I will read the story backwards. Each chapter I'll read it backwards. I'll go. I'll start at the end of the chapter and go up the screen and have it read back to me. And I can pick up a lot of mistakes that way. So
That's a great technique. And I also like to read out loud because I can catch some real clumsy sentences that way.
yeah.
But I know about those English teacher mothers, Chrissy. I grew up with one too, and she was not only worried about our grammar, but our posture.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Do that too.
well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the passage you brought to share today and then read so we can hear your tone and voice in the book?
Okay. Well, I can't promise it'll be that great of a read because I'm doing it off my computer. So it'll be one sentence at a time that I have to listen to, and then I'll read it back. But it's from chapter 1 from my novella, Cherishing Whiskey Salvation, which came out last year. And it's basically the introduction to the main character, Charlie Stockton, who is, from my first book, that is Evie's dad, and she was the main character in the other book. And this is Charlie's story of what happened from the previous story. So it's kind of like working at the same time as the original story. So it's a dad's point of view on his daughter and what's going on with her, but it's also a second chance romance for him and his wife. So which is Evie's mom. Okay, so the first chapter is called Whiskey Duty. If you knew Charlie Stockton, you might wonder who or what held his heart. Even Charlie would admit he didn't know. And today wouldn't be any different from any other. Well, sort of. As Charlie stood on a raised wooden boardwalk on the outskirts of Austin, with his scuffed boots brushing against a polished rail and not too far distant blue sky of puffy white clouds, a whirl of wind came from 3 helicopters, 2 on the flanks and 1 following behind. He removed his brown Stetson hat and wiped his brow on the sleeve of his coat. all while staring at the scene moving toward him. At first, when one first looked, they might think of it in slow motion. When Charlie took it all in, the folks scurrying around him for a closer look themselves. A slight quirk of the cowboy's lips on one side curled upward. A low thunder rattled under the planks he stood on. A couple rushed past him with two small children to get up close to the banister. He watched the children peer through the rail and squeal in delight. They're coming. He stuffed his hat back on his head and rocked back in his boots as his callous hands pushed back his jacket away from his waist to rest. He nodded in silent agreement with the children. Up ahead on the street, not only were there 3 black choppers coming, but they followed a herd of Texas Longhorns ambling their way with a handful of cowboys on horseback, steering down the street to their destination. Reminds me of the old days. Another older cowboy sidled up next to him. Howdy, Charlie. He checked his watch. Looks like they're coming just in time. Charlie nodded with a smile. The older cowboy with the full head of gray hair smirked. You miss it? Charlie, who himself only had a touch of gray hair, whispering around the edges of his dark brown hair, stood in a military stance. He turned his head, and his hand that had clenched against his hip, he turned his head and tipped back his hat and said, not sure what you mean. I'll stop there.
Great, Chrissy. I mean, it's so descriptive. I could see those guys standing, in that town and waiting and anticipation. So thank you for making that effort. And
Thanks.
It gives us such a greater appreciation for the challenges that you face and how much you're achieving.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I should have practiced it more, but
no, that was wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest problems when I write is I get too descriptive and everything. And I had a number of editors and literary agents. I had one literary agent tell me that it was probably the best book she's ever. How did she say it? It was probably one of the best books she's ever watched. And I said, what do you think? Because, it's like I could picture it all in my head. And I was like, oh, I like that then.
Yes.
So,
and that's the way I write. I picture it as if it's on a big screen, as if I'm watching a movie. And so I could see that in your work.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. So,
most writers are introverts. They want to be writing. They don't want to be promoting themselves. And I just wonder if you found any publicity that's worked for you or maybe something you've tried that didn't work.
Well, I have, I've done a number of different little things. Probably one of the things I definitely suggest authors do is put a news press out, a press release out. When they're going to release a new book, just even if it's just in your local town and everything. I've had a number of people buy my book because they saw just a little press release. And to be honest, I had an editor tell me of a small paper. He told me that they're always looking for stories. So if you send them a press release, you're more than likely going to get your, an article in the paper because they need stuff. They want it. And they said, if you take the time to write it up and send it to them, they will put it in. So I was really happy to hear about that and everything. So he told me, just hit up all your local papers and stuff to get the word out about it and everything. But social media, I do all the social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and but I would say the press releases have really helped out a lot with that and everything, to get your name out there and stuff. So, because the first time I did it, I had a number of people. I did a book signing at the local library, one of the local libraries, shortly after that, and I had a number of people mention how they saw about the book in the press, the newspaper press release and stuff. So if you can get on radio or your local radio or just anybody, and I also read a book, and I haven't tried it yet, but she said send it out, really early in the morning, because a lot of them, like newscasters or editors and stuff, those who make the decision, who you send it to, they look at their stuff really early in the morning, and you get a good chance of getting on with them if you do that then. So that's what I would definitely suggest for people to do a press release. Mm-hmm.
That's a good tip.
Because I mean, free, so why not?
Well, what does writing success look like to you personally?
To me personally, it was when I get a book done. Not so much published, but when I get it done and I like it, and it's all done, and you could then hit the publish button. I just when I got my first book out, I just couldn't believe it. I had actually written it, got it edited, got it ready to go, and published it, and actually, because I had a number of sales in Japan, and I'm like, oh my gosh, people in Japan are buying my book. Yeah, I like this. So I'm like, so it feels good to I guess when you can entertain somebody else with your story, that's when somebody says that they like your book, that's big success to me. So
it's a huge success. Not everybody writes books, and I know your family is so proud of you and your achievements. You've got the entire family involved in your occupation.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty good about it too. So sometimes they can get frustrated, but they love it also. So yeah.
Well, Chrissy, this has been a great visit with you today. And as always, our last interview question is, our writers over 50 are quite unique. Do you have advice for writers 50 and above?
Well, I know this has been before, but it can't be said too many times. Don't give up. Just keep going, keep writing. I had a lot of times that I didn't think I would ever get a book done, but I got it done, and just don't do it. If it's your dream, you keep plugging away at it and get it done. You can do it. Everybody can do it. So you just gotta have the strength and the fortitude and the determination to do it. And if you put your pen to paper, or you type it on the keyboard, you obviously want to do it. So do it. There's I don't think there's a bad book out there. I mean, there are some, but for the most part, they're all good. So I give everybody a lot of credit who tries and gets it done.
Well, I certainly give a lot of credit to you, Chrissy. I mean, you have been an inspiration to all of us today. And if you can achieve all you're doing with your challenges, that's going to make the rest of us want to put our seat in the chairs and
Yeah.
and stop procrastinating and
Yeah.
start achieving what you have, because you have become quite prolific, and I'm just so excited to now say that we can count you among our authors over 50.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us today. Please look for Authors Over 50 every Thursday, when we will have conversations with accomplished debut novelists over the age of 50. Please subscribe and share with a friend. And check out my own publication journey after 50 at www.juliadaily, that's DAILY, like dailynewspaper.com. Until next time, keep reading and writing. And remember, it's never too late to fulfill a dream in life's sweetest third.